Welcome csc102 to Ex05 Pmt Mortgage. This is the Google Sheets version, and we're going to figure out monthly payments with interest. We're going to do it for purchasing a house, but you could do it for a car, for whatever. So we're going to do this with Google Sheets for the first time, and where you can go to find everything is under Documents and Resources, and it's under Unit 9. So I'm going to scroll down here to Unit 9. And here's Unit 9. You can see there's an Excel version and there's a Google Sheets version. Now you're going to start with an Excel file and you're going to open it up in Google Sheets. And the work file is right here. Also the instructions are here. I'm actually going to click on the instructions. Even though these are not the Google Sheets instructions yet, I'm going to follow these instructions because we're going to pretty much do the same thing that we would do with Excel. It's really not that hard to do except with a couple little variations. I'm going to keep these open. And then also, this is the work file. Now, if I click on it here on my computer, this is going to open up in Excel, and I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click and download this by going to Save Link As, and I'll just put it in my downloads for now. So I could just stick it in my downloads. You could put it anywhere you want. I think I have a folder, but I'll just put it in my downloads for right now, and I'll just put it there. And then I'm going to go to my Google Drive. So I'm signed into Google, and here's Drive. And like the other videos, I do have a csc102 folder that I made, and I even have an Excel folder that I made, so I'm going to put it in there. So I'm just going to drag it in there. So on my Mac, I'm just going to click over here and just find my files. I'm not sure how you would do this on a Chromebook, if you would move it right over there or not. But what I'm going to do is just go into my downloads, and here it is. So I'm just going to make sure I have it selected right now, and I'm going to go to my Google Drive and put this in front of it so I could just drag it in there. So here's my file. So I'm just going to drag it in here in this folder. And it's going to upload it to my Google Drive. And whenever I see it, I can just double click on it and I'll open with Google Sheets. And a couple things I'll do here. I'll change the name and I'll put my last name in here. And I'll also go here and say Save as Google Sheets. So it's working natively in Google Sheets. And there it is. And it should look just like this in Excel as well, except this font, I don't know, this word font is here. I'm just going to change this to Roboto Slab. Looks a little better. All right, and for some reason I don't use column A, so just be aware of that. I'm not sure why I don't use column A, but I just don't. Maybe it just looked better moved away from the side. So this is going to look the same in Excel. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this kind of make-believe scenario, or maybe it's a scenario that may happen for you in the future or right now or you've done already, but what we're going to do is we're going to purchase a house for $200,000. That may be hard to do in Warren County, New Jersey, but we're going to try to do that. And we're going to figure out down payment, interest rates, years, how much it's going to cost a month. That's what people really care about, so that's why this is in yellow here. People care about the monthly payment. And then we'll figure out some other things, including taxes, as close as we can. And then you could even alter this to work with a car payment if you want. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to look at my instructions here, and I don't think I have to look at these the whole time, but we're going to put in a down payment of $5,000. Hopefully you saved up $5,000, maybe not, but we'll start with that. We're going to use an interest rate of 4%, and we're going to put in 30 years, a 30-year payment, 30-year loan payment, and we're going to kind of work from there. So let's go back to here, and this isn't the one. So let me close it up, because when I saved as Google Sheets, it made a new tab here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in 5,000. Now, one thing I just want to point out, these cells are already formatted for currency. So you can just put in 5,000. You don't have to put a dollar sign or anything like that. You could just put in 5,000 and hit enter. And it should show up as currency. And an interest rate, same thing. It already is formatted for a percent. So you just have to, you don't have to put 0.04. You can just put 4%. And you can see it's even getting a percent sign there. So, and then you could just hit enter. So it's showing 4.00. And obviously, this is meant to be changed. So all these things are meant to be changed so that you can have it set up one way, and then if some numbers change, you can alter that. So when we do some of our calculations, we're going to use cell references instead of actually putting in numbers. But these are numbers we have to put in. And as far as years, we're going to put in 30 years for now. Now, here's where we're going to start to use some of our cell references. Now it says payments. How many payments would this be? Now typically for any kind of loan, like a car loan or a mortgage, you're going to be paying monthly. So we have to do 30 times 12. Now we're not just going to put 30 times 12 in here. We're going to put equals and you could do equals sum, and eventually we're going to just take away the sum. You could just do equals, but we're going to do equals sum, and I could close that up there, and we're just going to do that cell, not 30, but we're going to do C7, because in case it changes, in case we do 20 years or something. So we're going to do C7 times 12. That'll just give us our payments. And if you hit enter up here, then you have 360. So when you click on here, you see 360. That's the value that's showing up in the cell, but the actual content of the cell is this formula, which is C7 times 12. So that's getting our total number of payments to buy a home. And our loan amount, basically so far, is really going to be our sale price minus the down payment. Now, we're not figuring in everything else that goes with buying a house, all the fees and all that. We're just going on the payment. That's all we're looking at right now. So we're going to just take the sale price minus the down payment. Now, instead of just putting in $195,000, since that could change, we're going to put in C4 minus C5. And we could just go here and say equals. Now, by the way, you can just do this. You can just do C4 minus C5. You don't even have to put in the sum. And if you're not sure, just try it out. And it came out to 195. So that's fine. So you don't have to put the sum in there unless you're putting more detailed information in the parentheses. So we just did that, equals C4 minus C5. So that's our loan amount. That's what we want to get a loan on because we don't happen to have $195,000 laying around. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to pay it over a monthly payment. So how do we figure this out? And what we're going to do in Excel, we use something called a Pmt function. In Excel, you click on this little FX thing and it brings up an option for it. But we don't have that in here. But what you can do is, first of all, click on this cell for C10. Make sure, remember, we're in C10. Make sure you click on that cell. That's your active cell. And then you can click right here and then go over here to this sigma thing where we did the sum, except we're not going to do sum. We're going to go down to financial. They have all these different things here. You're going to go down to financial and then look for PMT. And there it is, PMT, just click on it, and it'll start it off for you here. Now, you might not know what to put in here, and that's okay. I don't always remember either. So if you just click here and backspace, it's going to tell you what you need in there. And you could even extend this if you need more detailed information. But if you close this up, it'll show you, you're just going to put in the parentheses the rate, which is the 4%, the number of periods, which is going to be the 360, and the present value, which is going to be the 195,000. Now, we're not going to put in the numbers, we're going to put in the cell references. So I'm going to close this up. So we're going to put in the rate. Now, the rate is what cell? C6. Now, I'll just leave it like that for now, but we're going to have to divide it by 12. But I'll just do it like that because that's the first thing you might think, oh, the rate's 4%, and then hit a comma. And then what you're going to put in is the number of periods. That means the number of payments. So that's this one here, which is C8. So don't put in 360, put in C8. And then I'm going to put a comma. And then the last thing is the loan amount. It says present value. That's the loan amount. So you're going to put in C9 because that's the loan amount. So you're just going to put in cell references. And I'm going to put my parentheses there. And once I close it off, I'm going to hit return or enter. And you're going to be like, whoa, $8,000 a month, I can't afford that. And the problem is, and I mentioned this earlier, and if you have to change this, just click on the cell C10. What we have to do is just go into this formula and make sure you do C6. Make sure you do the percent divided by 12 because this is the yearly interest rate. Now for monthly, you can just divide that by using the / by 12. So it's C6 divided by 12, comma C8, comma C9. That's the way it should be. And you can even see a little preview here. It's showing me 930, and I think that's what it should be. So I'm just going to hit enter, and there it is. Now, it's showing in red because it's showing as a negative number. What you can do here is if you click on this again and just put a minus sign right after the equals. So it says equals minus PMT. Just do that so it becomes a number that's in the black, not in the red. It's in the red because if it's a payment, it's a negative number. I think it's conditionally formatted to do that, because it's debt, so it's showing up in red. So I'm just going to put that minus sign in there just so our payments just look normal. So now you see a payment of $930.96, and this is in the yellow because that's what everybody cares about, their monthly payment. Can I afford that much a month for a house? Now, a couple things about this. There's total cost of loan, and what that is, that's just, if you're buying a car and you paid 5 years and you're paying $300 a month, you'd kind of multiply that by how many payments to figure out what you're paying on your loan. That's all we're going to do here. So for our total cost of loan in this area, we're just going to do C10, which is our monthly payments. And it's just like if you had a payment book. I don't know if they have payment books anymore, but we used to have payment books. And you could just flip through the entire payment book. and then just add them up and figure out how much you're going to pay over the course of the loan. What I'm going to do is be in C11 here, and I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to say C10, because again, whenever you can use your cell references, that's what you want to use. You don't want to use numbers. So I'm going to say C10, and I'm going to multiply that by the payments, 360. And again, not 360, but use C8. So always use references to reference the number, so that if the number changes, these things can update. So that's what I'm going to put in now. And notice if you just use equal and you just do that simple math, you don't have to put parentheses. So I'll hit enter, and that's the cost of the loan. And that means with interest, that's what you're paying. So for a $200,000 house, you're paying $335,000. So how much interest are you paying? Well, that's just taking the total cost minus the loan amount. So that's what you're paying just in interest. So that's why I put on here in red, just so you know what you're paying in interest. So that when you're figuring out down payments, you can take some of that off your interest. Or if you're doing it for a car, whatever. So in this cell, in C12, what I'm going to put here, I'm going to put equals, and this is just simple math. I'm just going to put equals, and I'm going to put C11, because that's the amount of the cost of our loan, minus C9, because that was the loan amount. So C9, C11 minus C9, and that means you're paying $140,000 just in interest. Now that's over 30 years, and a lot of people don't keep a home for 30 years anymore. Very few people do, but it's still a lot of interest. And when you're making payments just in a couple of years, you don't start paying on interest till later in the loan. So that's why people might put more down. Or let's say you just have a ton of cash, you might put $20,000 down or something like that. You might be like, oh, I got $20,000 saved up, so you might put down like $20,000 or $30,000 or something if you have that saved up. You know, if you do, you know, you're saving that much money. You're saving $11,000 in interest, but your monthly payment isn't going down a whole lot. People really care about this, so I'm going to put this back to $5,000. And you see how easy this could change if you have more money to put down, if you have less money. Now let's just talk about down payment. I just put in $5,000 to start, and we came up with this amount of $930.96 monthly. Now let's say you don't have that much, and you're like, well, I'm going to put down 3%, because they say, oh, you can put down 3%. Okay, I'll put down 3%. Now to figure that out, you could go right here, use Excel to figure that out, or you could use a calculator. But if you go in here, you could just say, okay, the sale price, which is C4, you could say equals C4. And then you could just multiply that by 0.03, because that would be 3%. So if you do C4 times 0.03, that'll figure out what 3% of the sale price is. And you're like, oh, that's actually more than $5,000. So 3%, so that's not even 3% of a $200,000 house. And if you're talking 5%, you do the same thing here. You go C4, use the asterisk to multiply by 0.05. And I did that wrong, but that's okay, because I didn't put my equals in there. And let me hit enter. And now that's right. Now it's showing 10,000, so that would be 10,000 down. 10% down would be, let me go in this cell down here, and I'll just do C4 times 0.10. Remember to do the point in there. And again, I keep forgetting to put the equal sign. So I'll put equals C4 times 0.10. That would be 10% of this sale price. And that's 20,000. So that's 20,000 down, and I showed you that one before. So these are the percentages of that for down payment. So, you know, if you needed 3% down, they would be asking for 6,000 unless you got the sale price of the house down, unless you offered less or something like that. And there's all kinds of deals people do when they put a bid on a house. So there's one other thing where, you know, we're talking monthly payments in a house here of like $930.96 monthly payment. One thing we didn't figure out is when you buy a house, you have all these taxes and stuff. And, you know, not only you have utilities and water bills and sewer bills and all kinds of things you might have to pay, there's also taxes. Now, I put in just a starting value here of $4,000 because where I live, it was, actually, it's probably a couple of years ago, it was $4,000. It's probably more by now. But you have all kinds of taxes. You have school taxes and local taxes and all kinds of taxes that you have to pay, and you don't want to pay them in a big lump sum. So a lot of times they'll build them into your mortgage amount so that you're paying them over 12 months. And what I did down here was just kind of figure that in so you could see, well, okay, if you pay taxes with your mortgage payment, how much would that be? So just for the example, if you had yearly taxes of $4,000, if you did that divided by 12, and that's all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say equals C21 divided by 12. That's all I'm going to do there. C21. And whenever you can use the cell reference, and actually that's wrong. That should actually be C20. This should be C20 divided by 12. Whenever you can do the cell reference, that's what you want to do, so that if anything changes, so if taxes change, anything like that, this will all be updated for you. And that comes out to about $333 a month. So what would be your total mortgage? Well, you just go here and you'd add it up. You just add up C10 plus C21. So you could just do equals C10 plus C21. Now keep in mind, if you use sum in here, you can do this. You can say equals sum, and you could even do C10 comma C21. But you can't use comma when you just use the equals. You have to put it in the parentheses and use the sum function when you do that. So if you did this, that would come out to the same thing. So you're getting $1,264. So that would be your mortgage payment, including taxes, if you had $4,000 in yearly taxes, and if this was your original mortgage payment, and if you put that much money down and all that. So, that's just something to look forward to if you haven't bought a house, or if you're going to buy a house, or if you're thinking about it and saving up and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot to think about. Now, you might say, well, that's a long way off. I just want to buy a car. Well, you can change this. I could go here and say, okay, let's buy a car. And I just saw that Honda that looks really neat and at the dealership, but I don't know if I could swing it. It's $20,000. And all right, so I'll put a $20,000 car, and let's see, I have $1,000 to put down. And there's $1,000 in the interest rate. I'll assume the interest rate is about the same. It could be more or less depending if it's a new car or used car. Sometimes new cars will be less, and you're not going to pay a car over 30 years. You're going to pay a car over maybe 5, 6. Sometimes they're like, oh, we can do it for 7 years or something. Let's say they're going to give you a deal for 6 years now. It used to only be 5, but now they're kind of stretching it out to get payments down. And so that's all you'd have to change, and you could say, okay, I want to get a $20,000 car. I got $1,000 to put down. Maybe you have a trade. Maybe you could trade something in that'll be worth $5,000 or something to put down to bring that cost down. So, that might help too. You might also have a trade-in. So you could have another area here that has a trade-in, or you could just include it with your down payment. But, now you're looking at something like, oh, I could get down to $300. Maybe originally if it was a 5-year loan, you'd be like, $350, I could only afford $300 a month. Well, they might work out something so you could do 6. Keep in mind, they're getting more interest for that. And also keep in mind that car dealerships are making money on your service, not necessarily on all this. Plus, they'll also make money because they'll want you to sign some kind of extended warranty and things like that. And they make it sound like you're crazy if you don't get the extended warranty. And why would you not want to do that? But they give you the really hard sell on the extended warranty. But again, you could use this for a car payment as well. So I just wanted to point that out so it doesn't just have to be a mortgage payment. So I'll go back. I'll just change this and put it back to house. See how easy that is to change when you make sure you use cell references for all of this. Now I could get it back to normal, and all my figures are back the way it was. So that's all you have to do. You don't have to do the car thing. I was just showing that just as a little extra lesson here. And when you're done here, what you could do in Google Sheets is just go here to go to share and get shareable link, copy the link, go back to My Warren and go in your coursework. And it's the same assignment whether you use Excel, whether you use Google Sheets, and it's Unit 9. So just go into here, and don't worry if it says upload, just ignore that. Ignore that if you're using Google Sheets. Just add a comment, insert the link, paste it here, choose new target window, which is going to be a new tab, not a new window, but they still say new window. And then just hit OK, and that's all you have to do. And then I'll see your little comment in there. I see a little icon that shows that you put a comment in there when you turn that in. So if you want to use Google Sheets, this is the video for that, and that's all you have to do. So that's Ex05. I think that's our last Excel assignment for this semester.